give us a little bit of his ins and outs. Thanks, Dave.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Awesome. Well, it's actually in the title. I'm a vagabond and I have a press. People ask me, what are you doing in Denmark? I'm like, there's a lot of different ways to answer that. The primary one was because I didn't want to go back to prison. I was stuck in, I basically spent half my 20s in jail. I'm a convicted bank robber. Not just a bank robber, I was also a burglar and general thief. So I was a bad guy. And I found myself in the spring of 1996, standing by a canal in Amsterdam, breaking down and throwing away a gun. And I'm like, David, you got to change your life, otherwise you're going to end up in the canal. Probably with a bullet in you. So I had to do something. I had to do something I never thought of. Something that no one would ever have expected from me, and I had to do it in a place that no one was going to ever look for me. So I came to Denmark. I got to admit, I did not know a great deal about Denmark before I got here. Bacon, Lego, Hans Christian Andersen, the Vikings, and Carlsberg. That was the sum total of my Danish knowledge. And I decided to do something that I'd never done before, and that was work for a living. The first time I ever paid taxes was here in Denmark. And apart from a few months spent in Amsterdam, it's the only country I've ever paid taxes in. An excessively high percentage of my income has actually been paid in taxes. It's also the only country I've ever claimed welfare in. So next time you hear someone going like, oh, foreigners only here for the welfare, no, not me. You've had more out of me than anybody. But even though you change the location, that doesn't necessarily change yourself. It's what Alcoholics Anonymous call doing a geographical. And I found I had to do a lot of changes. Because my crimes were not just my profession. Crime is not a living, it's a lifestyle. It's who you are, who you hang out with, the attitudes you express, the belief systems you have about people, culture, society. All that had to go before I could change. And to document and to help with that process, I had to write. I had to write about what I did, why I did it. I had to write about my reactions and my actions and my feelings about this new culture, this new country that I surprisingly become incredibly attached to over the years. To an extent now when virtually, I would say 80% of my friends are within 5 kilometers of Dock 1. I had to process, I had to get all that out of my head. And I did it when I was living on the streets. People ask me, oh, you don't have a job, you don't collect welfare, what do you do? I'm a Flasker Samler. That's basically how I kept myself going when I wrote the book. I would get up in the morning, get some breakfast, go to the library, write. After a couple of hours, the old library, I would go out, collect some bottles, take them back, get some food, go back to the library, go back out in the streets again. That was my life for years. And while I was living it, I was writing it. And I was wondering, people were asking me like, dude, why are you doing this? My answer was, what else am I going to do? I've seen a lot of things in Denmark. I can skip your penal system. I can live without going back to prison. I can do without that. But that was no option. I have no marketable skills. My command of the language isn't particularly great. But I do have one thing. I'm incredibly stubborn. And even though I set out to write one book, I wrote 3. I wrote them 2 or 3 times. I wrote them in notebooks, on pen and paper. I wrote them on laptops, which then had stolen and had to start again. I was in Copenhagen in 2011, and I don't know if you remember, there was a big storm, right? Massive storm. My backpack was open, and I lost 8 months worth of work. What did I do? I just thought, okay, that's God's editing, I'll start again. And I questioned why I was doing it. I questioned whether I would ever finish doing it. And I certainly never expected anyone to ever be interested in what I was doing. But the surprising thing was, people were. I mean, if you go on YouTube, there's actually a documentary made by TV2 about me. I've been in the newspapers. For a man who spent most of his adult life trying to avoid attention and publicity, I received quite a bit of it. You know, I didn't even apply to come to this. Colin and Abdul got in touch with me. You know, I was like, you know, I got an email and like, dude, who are you? What do you want? You know, right? But yeah, I needed a cathartic experience. I needed to, if I was going to progress, if I was going to advance, if I was going to change, I needed to make peace with what I'd done. I had to be honest about my motivations and the backgrounds to what I've done. And I had to be honest with other people about that as well. Right? Basically, you know, dude, this is it, you know. And, you know, I've got, basically the entire trilogy is me combining my English crimes with my Danish experience. In a way to try to understand to myself and to others what I'd done and why I'd done it. Now, some of that realization wasn't particularly easy, because I don't care how comfortable you are with your past, there are some things you are just not going to want to face, all right? And also, I had the experience of having to explain to people who know me now as the way I am now, what I used to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm in my 50s, right? We're talking, you know, so we're going back to the 80s, before when most of my friends a lot of my friends weren't even born then. I had to explain a culture they knew nothing of, and actions they had no understanding of. They didn't understand my motivations, my socialization. They understood nothing. But unfortunately, I wrote it so in some way that people, I can make no apologies. Apologies to me are, well, unless they're mixed with some degree of action, are pointless. But I can be honest. I can at least do that. To myself, to you, and at least come to some degree of crime doesn't pay on a financial level, but at least it can bring you, and friends have told me the same is also true in war. Trauma can at least give you some vision of, yeah, you can survive this, you can do this, right? You can try and make things right as before laid about. It's about taking my work and eventually, hopefully, other people's, not necessarily full of hope and optimism, but at least a realization, yeah, this is it, this is what I learned from it, and this is what I'm going on in the future. Now, I'm probably the only person here that's ever robbed a bank, but I'm probably not the only person here that's ever been tempted to. Right? I'm not the only person who, I'm probably the only person who made a profession out of breaking the law, but we've all had that, Part of my book is telling you what happens when you make that, when you cross over that line. All right? I don't care what you do. I truly don't. But what I'm trying to do in my life and in my work, say, your decisions will have consequences, and these are the consequences. If you want to go in that direction, high fives, good luck. I hope you make $1 million. But if you, like I did, end up swarmed by the police, handcuffed and thrown bodily into the back of a police car, and all, you know that thing on the TV where they duck your head down? Yeah, only on the TV do they do that. Alright? I bounced off the entire door frame. Alright? And then you have an armed policeman kneeling on your back. Well, dude, you brought it on yourself. I'm not the only person that's done this. Literature, especially, writing especially, has a great history of convict and prison writing. Because it's the one place in the world, it's one of the few places where you are no longer able to deny what you've done or deny who you are. It is real in an incredibly brutal, and literally brutal fashion, right? Because there's no one there interested in making you feel better about yourself. Not the staff, not your fellow inmates. So you have to face yourself. And that ain't necessarily a comfortable, easy, or fun thing to do, right? But if I hadn't done it then, and if I hadn't done it through the writing, there's only 3 places I would be right now. Back in jail, dead, maybe rich. But dead or in prison is probably the most likely, right? I've known some of the best thieves in England and in Europe, and I'd pull some sweet scores. If tonight on my way home, I will be putting my hand in a bin in order to get some cans so I can eat. I've stolen millions of people. That's it.